What's up, guys? This is Wes with Sincity Tactical. Thank you for joining the Sincity Tactical Show. And with me, as always, Griff and Jax.
Hey,
what's up, guys?
Nothing much.
Another fucking day. Pardon the language.
I was going to say, dropping F-bombs.
Yep, I know. Just already right in the beginning of the show, that's my fault.
Sorry, YouTube.
Usual
Sorry,
response.
Facebook. Censor that out. Beep, beep. Okay. So, as you see scrolling across the bottom there, I got to compose myself now.
Yep.
SincityTacticalNV.com or SincityTacticalMN.xyz. Check that out. That's our website. We've got shirts, as you can see. All of us are wearing some type of merch. So SincityTacticalNV.com or SincityTacticalMN.xyz. We got a bunch of gear up there, over 50 plus products. We also have G3 Survival, custom made in America, made in Minnesota, leather wraps for shotguns and different guns and things like that. So check all that stuff out under the G3 Survival tab. And we are going to move right into our first topic here, which is going to be Pro 2A news. And I'm going to run a clip for that. So give me 1 second. Get it all pulled up here.
Oh, by the way, one alibi. I know you're going to get into that, but as Wes said, we're all wearing merch. We have the Minnesota branded 3/4 sleeve. What I have on under here is the throwback 3/4, but we also have the Come and Take It Moline Lob in both the Sincity Tactical LV side of things as well as the MN division. I believe there's a Parabellum as well up in the website as far as West, the head division goes. However, check that out. Again, yes, we do have G3 Survival stuff, but let's get into Pro 2A.
Yep. HR 8, requiring background checks for every transfer, not just sale of a firearm, thereby criminalizing private transfers of firearms that take place even inside your own home with limited exceptions. And HR 1446, very lengthy delays for the sale of firearms. Waiting until next week to fight back will be too late. We need to bombard every single representative right now with letters telling them to strike down these radical gun grabs. So what this is pertaining to is gun rules that are coming up. If enforced to the letter, HR 8 could put millions of gun owners in prison by outlawing the transfer of any firearm without a proper Brady check or 4473. The term transfer is nowhere defined, but it's clear from the bill that handing your gun to a neighbor for as little as even 1 second counts as a transfer. The bill claims to offer some so-called exceptions, but these will be practically useless to gun owners. For example, if you hand or transfer a firearm to a friend because you hear a noise in your house in the middle of the night and it turns out to be a false alarm, you're a criminal. Under HR 8, since every gun transfer will go through a dealer, every gun owner will have a 4473, setting the stage for a national gun registry. At a time when Americans are getting canceled for their political beliefs, the last thing we need is a highly politicized bureaucracy with the power to establish a federal registry and run background checks to determine who has a right to own a firearm. And we'll get into a little bit more detail about the two different segments that I read there. These are bills HR 8 and HR 1446. Since Biden and Camilla also promised an assault weapons and high-capacity magazine ban, as well as seeking to hold gun manufacturers liable for violence committed with firearms, the need to defend the Second Amendment has never been this dire. We cannot wait until these bills hit the House floor to ramp up our efforts to strike them down. We need to start turning up the heat on our representatives to ensure they vote to protect our God-given, not government-given, right to keep and bear arms. So please add your name to our pre-written list to urge your representative to vote no on H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446, two gun control bills that will shred the Second Amendment. All right, so what that means is H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 essentially are the bills that Biden and Kamala Harris are trying to put in place to restrict guns. So basically what it states is, as to where before you were able to take your buddies out to go shooting and do different type of activities, if I were to hand my gun to Griff, he would have to get a background check to be able to use my firearm. Or if I hand it to Jax, he'll have to get a background check to use my firearm. Or say Jonna grabs my firearm for whatever reason inside the confinement of our own home, she would legally need a background check for it. I think that's completely absurd. In a life or death self-defense situation, I'm grabbing a gun and going. I don't care if it's my gun or your gun or his gun or her gun. If there's a gun in the house and I need to protect myself, I'm going to use it. It's just another scare tactic, in my opinion. And 1446, that's magazines and things like that, where they're trying to just completely destroy the Second Amendment. I do like the little quote there at the end where it says, "Not government given right," because it's not. It's not. It was written into the Constitution. That was determined by the founding fathers before it was a full-on government entity. That was what established the government, not the government putting it into play. So the Second Amendment shall not be infringed upon, and unfortunately, they're trying. And it looks like somebody had a question there. Oh, wait. Let me unmute you guys. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I did say I wanted to say something real quick about this. And it's a valid question because this is something now with them threatening that in place. So like you were talking about with Jonna, let's say I was over at Griff's house and had my firearm here at home, but things went south. Somebody was breaking in and trying to rob Griff's house. If I picked up one of Griff's guns, I'd be classified as a criminal then because I don't have a background check to pick up his firearm and use it in self-defense if I was being attacked or if he were being attacked.
Correct. You would be an instant felon because you're not legally registered to use that firearm, which is very, very sad that that's the point that we're at. And you'll see a little bit later on in the tactical gear review items, I put a non-lethal type of self-defense item in there that has a little video clip to it. So for anybody out there who's looking to get like their wife or daughter or mother, grandmother, something to protect themselves, at least out here in Vegas, an ongoing thing that's been happening is it's very hard for women to safely be by themselves in parking lots. There's been a lot of incidences where they're getting robbed and or kidnapped out of parking lots out here in Vegas right now. I think we've had about 6 or 7 of them happen in the past month and a half. So women are definitely getting targeted, and this is something that I believe is going to be big for self-defense. And if you can, Jax, kind of angle your camera down a little bit. We're only literally getting from like your chin up.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. So before I continue here, just briefly, I do want to shout out Dean saying, "What about me? Give me one." Not exactly quite sure what you mean by that statement, unless you're talking about giving me a firearm. However, it's good to have you here watching the show. Bottom line, though, is like we've always said, we're not legal counselors, anything else like that. Hopefully this doesn't get voted into law, but if it does, obviously everybody needs to be smart about their decisions. I know personally all three of us disagree, at least I hope all three of us would, with what these two new laws that are being talked about currently and trying to be put into place would mean for our pro Second Amendment community.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I mean, there's a lot of things going on that I think none of us are too happy about. Um, Basically, like it says, they're trying to create a registry for anybody who comes in contact with a gun. And I mean, for me, anybody who's blind to what's going on, they're trying to get first establish a list of where all the guns are. Then they're going to come and try to take them. Once they've come and take them, then everybody is going to end up being defenseless, which then leads to where a tyrannical government can completely take over and turn from a democracy into a dictatorship. Taking our guns is not the answer. Creating a registry is not the answer. The criminals are still going to have their guns, and they're not going to tell you where they're keeping them, and they're not going to tell you who's using them. So, and everybody's heard the term burner phone, burner gun, or a throwaway, or whatever you want to call it. It's just sad to see that these bills are going into place. So if you do a little bit of research, go onto the website, and I know Griff has something he wants to say, so we'll let him speak here in 1 second. If you go on to the, oh man, we're getting a bunch of people in. RX David, thank you for showing up. 702 HVAC guy, thank you for showing up as well. We greatly appreciate it. Go to Google, search up HR or H.R.6 or 8, excuse me, and then H.R.1446. You'll see on there that there's a website where you can sign up, and it'll automatically populate an email with a specific set of things that you want said to your representatives. It'll find your local representative, and you can send them an email saying vote no on HR 8 and HR 1446. Me and Griff have already done so. Jax wasn't involved in that topic or that time that we were getting some pre-work in. So we'll end up getting that out there. I'm going to try to find the link and get it put into the description box below. But get those emails sent out because we don't want those bills to go into place. Griff?
Yeah, that, and send it to me too offline.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Griff.
I just want to add in a little tidbit how you were saying that what's going to happen is the law-abiding gun owners will end up turning in everything and only the criminals will have firearms. And this isn't an admittance. This is not legal advice or anything of the sort. But I have a strong feeling that a majority of current legal firearm owners will just end up falling underneath the category of criminals owning firearms.
Exactly. And I will say this real quick, and I particularly don't care who's listening, because once again, as we stated here on the Sincity Tactical Show, we will not be censored other than cuss words, profanity, which we really shouldn't be saying on air anyways. But I will say, yeah, Jax, the first 2 seconds.
Yes, and I clearly apologize for it when it slipped.
Uh-huh. Well, anyways, make a long story short, I would end up being a felon. Because I'm sorry. I put too much time and effort into my craft. And me personally, they've already got 4473s on me for all my guns. I'm not telling nobody nothing past that point. I don't care. I had a boating accident in the desert. That's all I'm going to say. So, quite frankly, like I said, we won't be censored on this show. Good luck. Take them from me. Criminals are going to have them. And guess what? If it came down to it, and SHTF, because I'm going to be censored on profanity here, I know enough people who don't care about the laws to where I'll still be able to defend myself if I need to. So I'm going to leave it at that. And 702 HVAC guy says me as well.
Yep.
So I think that kind of speaks to the situation. Here's the reality of it, and then we're going to move on to the next topic. You're going to force good law-abiding citizens away from being law-abiding citizens. Because when it comes to my constitutional federal rights, to me that trumps the rest of it. And I'm not going to have that be an issue with my own life. Like I said previously before on other shows, no company policy, no state policy is going to prevent me from protecting my own life, period. Well, looks like we got a big chat right there. Bro, yesterday my canoe tipped over on Lake Mead when I was heading to the other side to do some shooting. Lost everything. Sad face.
Unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Your
But,
sad face.
you know, the government will be glad to hear that you lost all of your stuff at the bottom of the lake and you were unable to retrieve it. I think that's important to put out there, too. Unable to retrieve. All right, we're going to move right into our tactical gear items, and we're going to go ahead and start off with Mr. Jax. Let's get that pulled up here. You want to
Yes,
give it
and
a
while you're
little
getting
about it?
while you're getting that pulled up, I'm just gonna give the guys background here. So this week I'm kind of going a little bit more simplistic, something that everybody, or at least everybody, I hope, should have in your personal everyday driver vehicle. Now, when I say something you should personally have in there, I'm talking about things that come with your vehicle, and a good majority of the time, depending on how well your vehicle is upkept, you may currently have one of these stowed away, you may not. But if not, I know they are on the fairly reasonably cheap side, and I will go ahead and into explaining more about it after the short clip it. So we will go ahead and jump into that. So, as you guys can see, I went with the one-way tire iron. And the reason I went with that this week instead of, obviously the rest of our tactical gear items that we have been going over is, number one, I'm thinking of more of a practical everyday lifestyle aspect here. It's something everybody should have with their vehicle, and per se, somebody who doesn't necessarily carry on an everyday basis, even if you do have your EDC. It's something that having in your vehicle comes down to as an importance for an overall, not an overall fix it kind of scenario, but overall fix it when it comes to like a flat tire, things on the side of the roadway that usually happen, i.e., flat tire, or let's say you're driving down the road and you start hearing some screeching from your brakes, and God only knows why you would pull over on the side of the highway to check it. But let's say you're one of those people that are a little bit more sketchy with that than others and decide you're going to pull over, jack up the car, take the tire off to do so. Well, in situation where even if you're not looking at your tire from a flat aspect or checking your brakes, let's say you're in a parking lot, just got done shopping, get back to your vehicle, you're not carrying anything else on you, loading up your trunk. Well, somebody, i.e. the bad guy, decides they're going to come up because they see you putting 12, 13 different bags of groceries and household items in your trunk, and they think you still have some money on you. Well, it doesn't matter what, whether you do or not. The bad guy only sees it as, this person's obviously got money if they're here at, Target or Costco or whatever, buying hundreds of dollars worth of household items and food. So they don't really care about your situation. They're only trying to make personal gain for themselves. You may not be carrying, i.e., firearm, knife, taser, whatever. The one-way tire iron is nice because not only is it useful for working on the vehicle, but it also gives you something to defend yourself with in that situation. Blunt force trauma item, if you have to use it for self-defense, but it also gives you mechanical uses as well. So let's move on to the next item.
All right. So I'll be taking over the next one. And for this week, I have something that will actually hopefully surprise mostly everyone with the quality and the price. So, Wes, can you please go ahead and roll the clip?
Sorry about that, guys. Technical error on my part. It was supposed to show the rounds that it could stop, and the background decided to be white, I guess. So I apologize for that.
Got awfully bright there for a second.
Yes.
Anyways, so we're talking about the Shellback Tactical 4S17 Level 4 Hard Armor Plate. And this is some of that fabled ceramic stuff that lots of people think is pure unobtainium. Now, Shellback Tactical is NIJ certified and DEA compliant. It only weighs 7.2 pounds. As you can tell, it is both shooter's cut and curved. It is tested to stop at least 30-06 armor penetrating rounds. It's made in the USA with a 10-year warranty. And here's the real exciting part. For a nice, proper ceramic plate, it's only $250 a plate. It's currently on sale right now for $185. So less than $400. And you can have a set of actual level 4 ceramic plates. Now, it wasn't too long ago that I remember shopping around for plates, and the only ceramics around were $500, $400 a piece. So it was great to see an American-made company, an American company making American-made products at such a reasonable cost. It's just out of this world.
Absolutely. I think that, body armor is something that is very important. I know that you need to check with your local state laws to make sure that you can legally own body armor. So don't just go out and start buying it unless you know for a fact that your state allows you to have it. Once again, like Jack said, we are not lawyers. We don't have a legal background. We just know gun laws fairly well. You should check with your local state laws to make sure you can legally own body armor. And the deal that he's talking about right now is fantastic, especially for that thick of a ceramic plate. It's hard to come by, especially at that price.
Indeed.
So,
and before you jump on, I want to say something real quick. So just kind of, for instance, in the past, I've shown my plates, which were previously Griff's. Comparing the two plates, you can't find a better deal, especially for ceramic, compared to the steel plates from AR500 I got. Now, give or take, the price range from my plates to his, and the plate level is going to vary. But, obviously, like Wes said too, and like I've said previously, not lawyers, look at your state laws for personal body armor, as well as gun, carry, concealment laws, and everything else like that. We don't want you guys going out there and just doing something because we recommend it. We want you to be smart about it, look into it. If it's something within that range you can do it, do so. Anyway, moving into Wes's tactical gear item, let's do it.
Perfect. So what I was talking about earlier with mine's more geared to the woman in your life, whether it be daughter, mother, sister, aunt, grandma. There's a lot of situations, like I said, in Vegas going on right now where women are being attacked in parking lots that are by themselves. And it's sad to see, but we did do in the last episode in EDC How and Why, we talked about stun guns and we talked about pepper spray. And I kind of took that a little bit more to heart than I think most people realized until we had our pre-show meeting a couple days back, getting everything set up for you guys. So we're putting in work when we're coming up with these videos and things like that. I put in a little bit more thought and effort into it, and I found a device, and it's abbreviated DAD, D-A-D, or Defense Alert Device. And I believe it's something that is going to change the game. I've downloaded an app for it. Jax has downloaded it, and so did Griff. We don't physically have to own the device to have that app, and I think it's something that everybody should get, at least if you're a protector type of person. But I am going to go ahead and run the clip for you guys right now. There is a little commercial in there. You'll also see a disclaimer saying that we don't own the content of the video and all that, which they shouldn't be upset about. It's free advertising for them, but let's go ahead and run. All right. So to speak on that a little bit, it's a strobing flashlight, military grade pepper spray. It's actually about 20 times stronger than just your normal pepper spray. And it has that GPS function. Now, the app D.A.D. app, you can download it, register. You don't physically have to have the device, and you can have crowd alerts turned to on. So in the event that I'm out and about driving around and things like that, if I get an alert across my phone, it'll send an alert telling me to call 911 on that person's behalf. It also gives you directions to that person. So it instantly sends out a GPS directions, drive or walk or run or whatever type of directions to that physical device. So within a mile, that's their idea of saying, okay, within a mile, you should be able to get there rather quickly. So as long as they have that device still in their hand, which as you saw that hand strap, it also acts kind of like a brass knuckle if you had to punch. But anybody with that app can show up to help defend this person. Now, me personally, I'm a protective type. If I get an alert across my phone, I'm going to show up to help. Most of the time, like I said, it's probably going to be a woman that has it. And we, as a community, need to try to stop these crimes from happening. We can get there a lot faster than the police are going to, and it doesn't hurt you to at least show up, especially if you show up and start yelling and screaming to make the attacker aware that, hey, there is witnesses to the event. It may prevent a more serious crime from happening. So they do retail at about $130. The pepper spray is actually pretty cool. It's got a bunch of different shots that come out of it, and for 8 to 10 seconds bursts and things like that, which allow you to try to defend yourself. This is, I think that's something perfect to be able to carry where you don't have to register it. It gives you the flashlight capability as well. And it's just a good device that I think everybody should think about getting, maybe as a birthday gift or a Christmas gift or something like that for the woman in your life. Make sure that they're going to be taken care of. And it looks like I've got a couple of questions waiting for me when I switch back over to the 3 screen.
Yeah. So, I mean, not so much as a question, I guess. I want to kind of speak on the device itself, too. You know, obviously, our viewers, with you saying beforehand, we do the offline shows and meetings so we can prepare content. When Wes first showed me this piece of tactical gear for women or for, you know, even men, I mean, I'm not going to dog anybody out here, but when it comes down to it, you know, the flashlight is useful for obviously finding your way through dark alleys and situations like that. But in a self-defense case for the females, it's nice to be able to deploy that pepper spray to try to get them off the X, as well as it being Bluetooth through the app itself to send out a distress signal. It's something that I myself even would highly recommend getting for that loved one in your life, whether it be your significant other, your mother, your sister, if you're married, your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law, it doesn't matter. As long as you yourself as the protector know that your family's protected, I think not a lot of, you know, pepper sprays out there like we talked about last week do as much as this device does. So this is something worth looking into and investing into.
Right. And I completely agree as well. In fact, I think I'll be picking up one for my mother. But getting to what Wes was talking about, how general people can get there faster than the police. I forget how long ago this was. It was within the past decade. Over in our neck of the woods, a shooting happened a urban block away from a police station. So, for those that don't know, an urban block, you're looking at about 10 houses right next to each other. But happened a block away from a police station, and the police proceeded to take 45 minutes to get on scene. 45 minutes to go a block away.
And that's extremely sad that that's even a situation. And that's why I said that. Most of the time, witnesses and or random protectors that are just in the general vicinity, that fight or flight instinct obviously kicks in. And I mean, you're going to react one way or the other. And I know me and my personality, I'm a protector. I would run to the situation, which, I mean, stupidly, I guess you could say, in certain situations where I would react in the fight mode versus the flight mode when I should be in flight mode, I guess. But one last thing I wanted to add about that device too is maybe it's not a person coming to attack you. Maybe you don't have a firearm on you and you're at the park and you're walking your child around and a loose dog runs up to attack your child. What are you going to do? I would rather try to pepper spray the dog to get it to back up. I mean, they call OC spray or bear spray. I mean, come on now. You think a bear, that's a huge animal. And if it can deter a bear, it should be able to deter a dog. Now, obviously, that's not 100%, but it gives you a fighting chance to try to protect yourself or a loved one if you're getting attacked by an animal as well. You never know. Deploying pepper spray, if you've ever been sprayed with it before, is not something fun to deal with. But I like that button, when, as you saw in the video, when they go to push it, you can tap before it. That automatically sets up the alert, so you don't have to spray the pepper spray yet. Or if you fully engage, it will send the alert by spraying at the same time. So you're multitasking, saying, hey, help me, and trying to defend yourself at the same time versus having an issue. Also, I want to leave this last thing with that, and we'll move right into the next topic. They just are now going to be coming out with a new device called MOM, M-O-M. I don't know what that abbreviation stands for, but from what me and Griff were reading about it, it's going to be kind of like like an Apple Watch type of thing, or a bracelet of some kind.
Pardon me, it looks more like one of those life alert pendants.
Oh, okay, so there you go. It's kind of like a button where you hit the button and you allow somebody to get an alert saying, hey, I'm in trouble. I need help, right? And like I said before, I think it's something where if a regular person can get there quicker, we might be able to help, especially if more people have that app. It's not just you showing up. So you may not have to defeat the threat by yourself. Do hope that multiple people show up because there's strength in numbers. If there's one or two attackers and 15 people show up around the same time, the attacker is more than likely going to be like, no, way bigger situation than I thought, and try to get off the X themselves. And of course, that's when, you can save a life by doing that. Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
So just the one small thing, and then we'll move forward. So with the MOM thing, I guess if I could kind of similarize it to anything, there was an app that was able to download onto a smartwatch back in the day for Samsung called, I think it was called Distress something, where it automatically, if I were to pull it up on the watch and tap the SOS button, it would send out a mass text to like 5 people of my choosing. Now, with it being a pendant-like thing like that, I would assume maybe it would be something similar to that.
Yeah, but it plays to the app to where it doesn't have to be individual contacts. It's anybody with that app within a 1 mile radius of you.
Okay,
so you're not relying on only 5 people. You're relying on a network of people that you don't even know to say, hey, help me, which is, I think, pretty cool.
Right. So kind of a cross between the dad app and then the app I was talking about.
Oh, it ties into dad. It is part of the dad line of products. It would sync right in with that integrated app.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's get into the next topic there, guys. Red button news. Obviously, I know Wes usually does the intro. My topic, though, for this week's going to be a bit different as compared to previous weeks. So let's get into the video. I will be reading the dialogue. You can read along as well, and let's get into the topic. All right. So, okay.
To state the obvious, former President Trump remains dominant force in the GOP and the most popular figure among Republican voters. As Trump flirts with a 2024 presidential run to regain the White House, the early data clearly shows that if the nomination race were held today, the former president would be the overwhelming favorite. Without Trump in the race, a new survey conducted by a GOP pollster who worked on Trump's 2016 campaign and then the president's 2020 reelection campaign points to former Vice President Mike Pence and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as the early favorites in what may end up being a large field of GOP White House hopefuls. But with no formal 2024 announcement from Trump expected anytime soon, the former president will continue to dominate all 2024 discussions going forward. I think the elephant in the room is obviously Donald Trump. Veteran GOP pollster Neil Newhouse told Fox News, if the election were held today and if he wants the nomination, he'd be the odds-on favorite. Last weekend at the Conservative Political Action Conference, the biggest and oldest annual gathering of conservative activists and leaders, which is better known by its acronym CPAC, Trump returned to the spotlight for the first time since he left the White House on January 20th.
All right. My apologies, guys. Internet was slow on my end. So obviously Wes was on top of reading it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Now, with that being said, I do feel like that story in and of itself is just kind of summing up where we're at as of right now as to what things could get into. And yes, it has a lot to do with the political aspect, but I feel like lately that's the route we've been going down, obviously, with the coronavirus and everything else. It's all kind of tying into one big, unfortunate political note that we've been trying to stay away from, but unfortunately, sometimes we have no choice but to touch on. So, what do you guys think about it? And it's not even just for you, Wes and Griff, it's also for the audience to kind of mull over and give their 2 cents in on.
Absolutely. I definitely believe that if the election was held today, there's a bunch of people that would change ships real quick because the amount of bills and things that have been signed and done in the past month and a half is kind of outrageous. There was a governor, I forgot who it was, what governor it was in what state, but he said that he personally is going to look at all these federal bills and things like that and see if they make sense for his state or not, or he's going to appeal them because he believes that too many bills are coming out of the White House too quick for them to be rationally thought about. Griff?
Yeah, I wish you knew the name of the governor because I want to send that guy a big congratulations for actually having a good head on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
But other than that, honestly, nowadays, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one out there, as soon as I hear the name Biden or Kamala, my brain just kind of shuts off. Hey,
I cringe.
I'll be just like the president then with a shut off brain.
Right. So one thing that I will say real quick, supposedly the stimulus bill thing has been signed. We're all supposed to be getting $1,400 checks. I guess going into effect tomorrow, they're supposed to be starting to send out the first set of things. Fact check that. I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate or not. I know that, quick second, got to put this comment up on the screen, and I'm just going to keep talking, let you guys read that one. I don't know if that goes into effect. I know I personally did not get the second stimulus. Yep, I never received the $600 one. I got the first one, didn't get the second one. May or may not get the third one. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, so me personally, my eggs are not all in one basket. I'm not hoping for a payday, but I hope that the people who really do need it the most get it.
Yeah, me too.
I do just want to quickly interject and say that is horribly wrong that you didn't get the second one and probably won't get the third, because I'm not going to divulge any details, but out of the three of us, you're possibly the one that needs it the most.
Yep, right now between transitioning from day jobs and trying to make a move and stuff like that has been kind of rough right now. I mean, I know I try to stay away from day jobs in the live streams, but the two people who are commenting the most right now know me personally in real life and know what my normal career choice is. And, I've had a rough patch of that, especially with health and things like that. I've had some health issues pop up too, which kind of pulled me out of my last job and got me into a situation there. But it definitely sucked. I mean, fortunately, I have two other people in my house that did receive the other two or the second stimulus, so that did help a little bit financially for the family. But I think that's a testament to all of us. We are continuing to, what does that say?
Wes is a professional badass, which, by the way, 702 HVAC guy, I'll side with you there. Before you continue, Wes, I just want to throw it out there for anybody watching this in future, after the show or during, and decide to rewind. If it wasn't for this guy, we wouldn't be where we are right now. I know me, Wes, and Griff all do a lot of offline stuff, but he is kind of the mastermind behind the whole brand name Sincity Tactical. Obviously, we've seen where the mergers come from between Sincity Tactical and the Minnesota Overlanders, bringing it all into one. But if it wasn't for you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And if it wasn't for Wes, this wouldn't be where it's at. So big props to you, bro.
Appreciate it. I enjoy it. I look forward to it every single week. And through the bad times that I've been dealing with right now, this gives me something to stay focused on and allows me to keep moving forward without getting too stressed out with other stuff. It's kind of a stress relief. Most of the people out there know I'm a recovered addict. December 4th of 2020 was my 10-year mark. So I've been clean for 10 years, which is huge. Went to rehab, been clean ever since, never relapsed. So I'm very proud of that. I like direction and order and things like that. So definitely very happy with that outcome. But what we've all been waiting for, I need that scoreboard, is getting into that CLS training.
Yes, sir. I will pull that up real quick and we'll get on into this week. Now, as I told us offline, and I kind of briefly mentioned here at the beginning, we're getting towards the end of lesson 4. So this week's going to be another one question apiece, just because towards the end of each section, it kind of falls into the same category. So with that being said, I don't want to bore you guys with the same old section reading for questions that fall under the same category. So this week is going to be one question, but then next week we're moving back into 2 as we start lesson 5. God, if I would have known 702 HVAC would have been here, I would have thrown him back up on the board, but I guess we're going to have to run it, and if he wants to be in it, I can throw him in as well. So let me just, in case he does decide to throw in an answer or two, 702 HVAC. And this way he's back up on the scoreboard. And I didn't have a question for him, so we'll just kind of let him chime in as well. More specifically, I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to let him pair with you, Wes, seeing as both him and RX David know you personally, but I have RX David's question already written up. So I'm going to let you both answer your question. So for this week, for CLS, obviously we're going to keep the same. You get the first question here, bro. So you have a 2-section reading here from 4-9 Bravo. Amputation. An amputation may be complete. The limb is completely severed or partial. The two parts of the limb remain both involved, bleeding from multiple arteries, and are beyond control by the methods discussed in the next section. Section 2. A person who suffered an amputation of the forearm, arm, thigh, or leg may not be bleeding severely when first discovered, but a tourniquet should be applied anyway. Lack of bleeding due to the body's normal defenses, contraction and spasms of blood vessels because of amputation. However, bleeding will start when the blood vessels relax or if the clot is not loose while moving the casualty. You and 702 have question 16. Both you and the casualty are in a place of safety, and you have sufficient time to treat the casualty. In which of the following situations, if any, would you apply a tourniquet without first trying to control the bleeding with a pressure dressing? Alpha, severe bleeding from a wound on the leg. Bravo, severe bleeding from a wound on the forearm. C, Charlie, amputation of the forearm 4 inches below the elbow. Or Delta, none of the above.
Okay. Read the question only one more time.
Roger. Question only says, both you and the casualty are in a place of safety, and you have sufficient time to treat the casualty. In which of the following situations, if any, would you apply a tourniquet without first trying to control the bleeding without a pressure dressing?
Okay. So I see 702 HVAC guy putting the face. So I'm going to give my logic to it to help you as well, 702, with the question. And this is my thought process on it. Regardless if I have enough time or not, a tourniquet is a must-do every single time, regardless, because a pressure dressing or whatever, try to quick clot crap that you're trying to use is not going to be sufficient enough to stop it. If the heart is pumping blood and we're talking about multiple arteries that are severed, it's going to continue to pump, and the only way to stop it is not going to be a pressure dressing. It's going to be trying to cut off the flow to those arteries. So if I understood the question correctly, my answer would be Delta, none of the above, because I would immediately go for tourniquet first before doing the pressure dressing. Jax, before you yes or no on that, was I clear on the question and how it was read?
To some degree, in a certain situation, yes. However, for the form of the question that's being asked, the correct answer, unfortunately, Let me check here for 702. 702 says.
Hold on. Don't give an answer because I didn't lock in my answer. I
Exactly.
just asked you if I was on the right path to what I was thinking.
You would be on the right path to a degree. However, I got to check 702s here. So with
He
that
said he
being
agreed
said,
and said amputation. Okay, so the question states, when would I not apply a tourniquet?
no. I'll read the question one more time for you.
Yeah, give me the question one more time, then I'll give my final answer.
Okay. So the question one last time says both you and the casualty are in a place of safety, and you have sufficient time to treat the casualty. Which of the following situations, if any, would you apply a tourniquet without first trying to control the bleeding with a pressure dressing? Now, I'm going to read the answers one more time so they're fresh in your head.
Okay.
Alpha, severe bleeding from a wound on the leg. Bravo, severe bleeding from a wound on the forearm. Charlie, amputation of the forearm 4 inches below the elbow. Or Delta, none of the above. So basically, the question's asking, when would you apply a tourniquet first compared to a pressure dressing?
I'm going to go with 702. Charlie.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay.
And G3 survival is on. Thank you for joining us, G3.
Oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to throw a wild card in and have G3 answer the same question as Griff if I'm having you.
I agree.
702 answer the same one because I didn't know he was going to be on this week. Next week, I'll text you, G3, to make sure you're watching.
Apply Vaseline and send them back on the ice.
Yeah.
Like it.
Well, if that's the case, you and 702 would be right.
Yeah.
He said apply Vaseline and send him back on the ice. That's for hockey.
There you go.
All right. So let's see here. I get back to Word document. So this one is going to be for Griff and G3. Paragraph 411 alpha. Tourniquet band. You need a band of strong, pliable material that is at least 2 inches wide when folded and will retain this width after being tightened. A folded muslin bandage, usually called a cravat, a folded handkerchief, or a folded strip of clothing will do. Question 18. Which of the following would be preferred for an improvised tourniquet band? Alpha, a wire that is 36 inches long. Bravo, a square cloth, 1 yard on each side, cut diagonally and folded into a cravat. Charlie, a strong rubber band. Or Delta, a bootlace.
Can you repeat answer Bravo, please? You kind of cut out on my end.
Of course. So the answer for Bravo was a square cloth, 1 yard on each side, cut diagonally and folded into a cravat.
I would have to agree with G3 and say Bravo. Final answer.
Bravo, final answer. All right. You and G3 would be correct on that one.
Come on, man. Get off my trophy. Nuts, bro.
Hey, at least we can still call it a competition.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
RX David is who I'm scared of. He's coming in hot. He hasn't missed in like 5 questions. He's gotten the last 5 correct. So
Yes.
he's got me
in the last 5 weeks.
He's the
RX
underdog.
David has been hot. I will say that. He's on a roll. So, RX David, paragraph 411A, same paragraph. Tourniquet ban. Oh, hold on. G3 says, I actually know what a grivet is. That's awesome. Not a lot of people do. So, for I guess we'll have to go into that on a specific CLS training portion where I do another one question game show where we can touch base on exactly what a grivet is. Anywho, RX David, here is your question from this week. Same paragraph, 4-11 alpha, tourniquet band. You need a band of strong, pliable material that is at least 2 inches wide when folded and will retain this width after being tightened. A folded muslin bandage, usually called a cravat, a folded handkerchief, or a folded strip of clothing will do. Question 19. You're going to apply an improvised tourniquet band made from a muslin bandage. The tourniquet should be at least blank inches wide when folded. Alpha, 1/2 inch. Bravo, 1 inch. Charlie, 1.5 inches. Or Delta, 2 inches. And just to
If
read,
you know what a tourniquet is, look at the width of a regular tourniquet. Is my hint.
I will read the question and the answers one more time. Question says you are going to apply an improvised tourniquet band made from a muslin bandage. The tourniquet should be at least blank inches wide when folded. Alpha, 1/2 inch. Bravo, 1 inch. Charlie, 1.5 inches, or Delta, 2 inches. It looks like RX David said 2 inches, Delta. In this case, he would be right. 2 inches is the exact width to make sure that the improvised tourniquet device holds when tightened. This week,
Jack's only knows what 2 inches long is, not wide.
Well, okay, 2 inches wide, not 2 inches long. Anywho,
No, you only know what 2 inches long looks like, not wide. Just go.
First of all, 2
Let's
inches
keep this
wide
rolling,
when I'm
guys.
laying down, okay?
Okay. So that wraps up the CLS. Thank you guys for participating in that. Greatly appreciate it. We're going to move right into our shout outs and sponsors. First, I'd like to thank Wendy from Sight Shooter. That is sightshooter.com. She's a personal firearms instructor out here in Las Vegas doing a bunch of different classes. Check her out. Say Wes and the guys from Sincity Tactical sent you, and she might hook you up with a discount, so check that out. Secondly, Tac Pack monthly subscription service. They send you a monthly tactical subscription box of different items. Costs about $55 a month, including shipping. Use our code SC Tactical for a free mystery grab bag. Check that out. And then there is one last thing I want to put out. We've started a new series on the YouTube for GTA Online 5. If you go to Rockstar Social Club and look up Sin City Tactical, you can join our MC. We do have full rocker patches that say Sin City Tactical. We try to play as often as we can. Most of the time we're on every day for at least an hour or two. We got businesses and heists and things like that you can do. So check that out. Come join us and come hang out offline of the live stream show. That is GTA Online 5. PS4. It is a PlayStation situation that we're talking about. So if you've got it, check it out. Let's move right into Griff.
Well, we'll move into me because I think Griff wants to go last.
Okay, my bad.
Transition. But so for this week, I do want to go ahead and just say before the shout outs, yes, join us on the PS4 platform. But my shout outs this week, as usual, TACX Pro Gear and NCCA, which kind of doubles into one. If you use the code Overlander25, which comes out to Overlander25, you get 15% off your purchases at National Concealed Carry Association. and 25% off your purchases at TACX Pro Gear, where you can get things, for instance, like what I'm going to show a little bit more in depth here once we get to the EDC how and why, but things like my ankle holster, the cleaning mat you see above my head here, as well as my inside the waistband mag holders, which is awesome. So go ahead, use that code, get yourself some merch. As well as I want to shout out the Patreon for Sincity Tactical Minnesota Division, as well as the Mother Division down in Nevada, or Father Division, whatever way you guys want to look at it. Go to the Patreons, check it out. I know he already shouted out Wendy from Sight Shooter. Obviously, she is a contributor on his side for his Patreon, but we do have packages on both sides, so check that out. And then last but not least, I want to go ahead and shout out my brother Griff. Yesterday, none of you guys out there watching know this, but we hit the range, did a little bit of extra video shooting for some quality content that we are going to be adding in a future intro video for you guys to view and check out as well. I may or may not have those videos sent to me so I can throw up on our YouTube as well as a short clip. It this way you guys get a feel for what all three of us do on our time outside of the show.
Real quick, the videos that he's referring to, I've made individual shooter videos. So I've got a compilation of Griff shooting, compilation of Jack shooting, and then a mesh of all of us shooting. But go ahead, Griff.
All right, awesome. Jax, I will tell you how to get those videos after the show, but rolling on in, as usual, I want to shout out G3 at g3survival.com, and I know he's getting sick of hearing me say this, but we all believe he makes the finest firearm leather goods on the market, handmade and hand-tooled here in Minnesota with USA-made components. If you're ever looking for wraps, if you're looking for wraps for your handguns, for your shotguns, straps for your forends, or anything of the like, check out his stuff. We also have him on both of our websites as well. And for this entire show, some of the more attuned viewers might have heard a slight buzzing in the background. I'm currently working on a new design right now as we're doing the show for G3, along with 2 others on the way. So we're going to have 3 more offerings for everyone.
That's awesome.
But now that we're done with shoutouts, let's roll into EDC how and why. And for this week, we have another scenario. For those that aren't familiar, a scenario is where I pose a what-if question to all the hosts, and we have to come up with their own personal answers. Wes, will we happen to have a general overview intro video for this?
General overview video I don't have, but it was based off of the scenario of urban or backpacker.
Correct. So before we get rolling into those, just to go more in depth, we're playing what if we are, for example, we're backpacking from the East Coast to West Coast because we're young, dumb college students or something. Yeah, pack light and that sort of deal. So let's get going with Wes. Or, sorry, Jax. My apologies.
Indeed. So, I don't know if we have a video specifically for mine made up. I am pretty sure we do. But before we get into the video here, I just want to say mine comes more from the side of kind of a woodline exploration, but also on the same side of that, being able to have all your stuff on you even if you are walking down the side of the road. So let's get into the clip, and then I'll explain each item here after the clip. Okay, so you kind of seen a brief rundown of the items I would run. Now, the reason for the blood pressure machine, obviously, we've talked about IFAX before in previous episodes, but the blood pressure machine kind of ties into it. And the reason I say it ties into it is obviously making sure that your blood pressure is not skyrocketing while, you're in midst of getting from point A to point B on a mission. That also ties into whatever you have in your medic kit as well, too. Things can vary in that scenario. But as far as that app goes, it is a app that I personally, and I know Griff has on his phone as well, and Wes does. And if I can get this into focus here, not sure if it's going to show up that well, but basically it's a app that you can have offline of your Google Maps and set waypoints from point A to point B and still have a navigational direction system through your phone. If you do not have phone service with your Google Map or even a generalized map, hard copy in general, and a compass. Granted, it's always nice to have a compass and backup to go with any map platform you have, whether it be digitalized or physical map, but it will still give you a generalized direction to where you need to get to. I personally didn't see my third item pop up, but this is something I threw in there as kind of the oddball. My TAC-X belly band. Why? Even though it has your concealed carry holster for your firearm, what I'm running in the mag pouch is my knife, my tactical flashlight, but it also has a zip-up pocket for extra items, per se a wallet, if you're wearing a pair of pants that doesn't have pockets and you want to carry your wallet on your person instead in your backpack. It's always better to have an extra pocket and not need it for situations where even if you're not carrying anything in there, you come across something useful on your journey and pick it up to use it later on down the road. So something like that comes into use, obviously, for personal defense as well as scavenging and adding things to your person within your guidelines of what you have to carry things.
Griff, I believe you're muted. I'm not getting any sound from you.
I apologize. I muted myself when I was typing. Darn clacky keyboards. Anyways, that is a different take from what we were expecting, and I always love to see a different viewpoint when it comes to these scenarios. Before we make this any longer, though, let's roll into Wes.
Perfect. All right. Well, with mine, I went not woods. I kind of went more towards the urban environment and not necessarily traveling from East Coast to West Coast, but say I'm just traveling through my own environment from one side of town to the other, and I have no vehicle and no form of transportation. Let's say post-apocalyptic, I guess. We'll throw that out there. No, maybe not post-apocalyptic, whatever. You know what I mean. It's going to be a scenario where I'm going on foot from place to place in an urban environment. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my clip. All right. So my items clearly are different than Jax's, and I'll explain why. So the four-way water key. In an urban environment, every commercial style of building, most I'd say apartment complex buildings also have this feature. If you walked around the outside of a commercial style building, you'll see a little like 6 inch by 6 inch square metal like box on the wall, and it'll say water on it. Well, that key will allow you to open up that door and will also turn on the water valve on the inside to get access to water. The bottle, Nalgene bottle, whatever you want to call it, that was attack pack bottle that you saw there, um, is a container, right? So water, need a container or a vessel to carry the water with. If I'm in an urban environment, I run out of water, find another building, refill my bottle, keep it moving. Most water is treated. We have really bad water here in Vegas. Probably, I think we're like number 48 out of the states of worst water in the country, which is really bad. But in a survival type of scenario, the water is drinkable without having to do iodine or filtering of any kind. You may not feel too good after drinking it, but you have now water, right? And then you saw the power bank. The reason for the power bank is I want to be able to charge my device. Like I stated, I'm in an urban environment, which means I have the Osmond app, like Jax had mentioned, which gives me navigation. It also gives me the ability to call out if I need to, or listen to police scanners or whatever the case may be, depending on the situation, to find out what's going on. But it gives me a lot of different functions. There's flashlight built into my phone, different tools that I could use, altimeter if I needed to find out how high up I am, or whatever the case may be. I have different functions through my phone. So water key, water bottle, power bank to keep my lifeline alive. Let's move into Griff.
Yep, and I definitely like how you went with bare necessities. I personally went somewhere a little in between. So if you could roll my clip, please, let's show everyone. All right. Now, my thought process behind the three items I chose was something I could constantly have on my person no matter what. So, starting off with the Garmin Fenix 5 or any other GPS style watch. This way, I could always have an active GPS on my person. The water bladder, much like US, water is always important, but instead of a container I'd have to stow away or a container to hold, I just went with a container I could wear. I've personally just preferred those styles. And lastly, a push dagger or any other similar, really close nitty gritty type of knife. That way I can always have something to defend myself, but also something I can easily conceal, because if I'm crossing county lines, city lines, state lines, it can be really confusing with the different laws out there. So I'd want something that I can just sneak around with.
Absolutely. One thing that I like a lot is the fact that we all had something to do with navigation. Because I think that's the biggest thing. You can find water, you can find food, you can find shelter, but knowing how to get there is probably one of the biggest keys that we've got.
Yeah, indeed. I will say, obviously great minds think alike. And when it comes down to the water source, I will agree with both you and Griff when it comes down to the two ways of carrying water, whether it be wearing it on your back in a bladder or carrying it in a bottle, as such as the tack pack bottle that Wes showed. I myself have a bladder in a bottle. However, getting there, like you said, is the ultimate key. So having GPS navigation is kind of something that I think all three of us are dead on point with and have in common as far as directional goes.
All right. Well, to the viewers who are currently watching, it'd be much appreciated if y'all could vote in the comments as to your favorite EDC package, we'll just call them. Whether it be Wes's, mine, or Jax's. Until then, I do want to say G3 or Geister never knew what a water key was. Good information. Until Wes mentioned it, I didn't know what one was either, and I'm definitely going to be picking one up.
Indeed. I myself will be picking one up. I have used one, obviously, with, my time on my civilian day job side previous to what I'm doing now, as well as in service. But anywho, go ahead, Wes, if you have anything to add while we're waiting on these votes.
I think Griff was still going to say something.
Yes, as I was going to say about the water key. Wes, concerning your technical knowledge, and 712 HVAC guy does vote for your package, just using your hands, about how big is one of those water keys? Because I'm completely unfamiliar.
Man, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to make this quick.
Of course. The host has left the building, folks.
No, I did not. I ran away real quick to grab my EDC bag to show that I implement the tools that I'm talking about. So when I open up this pocket, this is a 4-way water key. So as you can see, quite small. There's 4 different size little hex heads there at the end, depending on the size valve that you're working with. I keep it in my everyday carry bag in this tiny little pocket. Very small, versatile tool. You could even carry in your normal pocket if you had to. I keep it in this bag just so I make sure that I have it on me, because the videos that we make for this kind of stuff, I literally want to implement what we're talking about. So I literally carry a water key with me to make sure if I ever need to get water, I have an access to it. So they cost about like $6 on Amazon. They're not bad at all.
Right. And before this gets even longer in the tooth, let's go into our patriotic message. And for this week, I went with a Mr. Richard Rorty. I've never heard of him before. He's a philosopher. But from this quote, he is a very wise man. National pride is to countries what self-respect is to individuals. A necessary condition for self-improvement. Love yourself, love your country, and we'll do great things.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We are changing the schedule for the show to every Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 Central, General Mountain Time, Central Time, whatever. Minnesota time, if you know what that is, great. 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Thank you guys for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you. We'll see you on the next one.
Catch you later.